So today we're going to be talking about MyPay, which is a hybrid suite app that extends the functionality of NetSuite out to employees or staff that don't actually have access to NetSuite. I'm Wayne and I am your ERP coach. So if you have a look at my screen here, MyPay is just a standard web browser. It is optimized for mobile as well, but all of the functionality that we're going to provide today through MyPay is actually driven from your NetSuite configuration. And we will tab back into that to show you how that flows through. But this allows the staff that don't have access to NetSuite to look at their expenses, their leave management or time allowances that they may be entering. They can also get their pay slips, and then they have the ability to do a bit of self-service around their name and address and bank account details and those sorts of things. What I'm going to do is show you the leave management module. Bear in mind, this is all going to flow back through into NetSuite, and it's for employees that want to request annual leave or holidays, but they don't have access to NetSuite to do so. So as an employee, I've logged on to MyPay. I come in and I'm going to create a leave request. Okay, very straightforward. I'm going to choose a date, and I'm going to choose it for, say, the 3rd of August. I have the option of a half day or a full day, so I'm just going to leave it at the full day, and I'm going to request annual leave. And at this point, what I'll do is I'll submit this, and then it's going to flow through to my supervisor. And it will flow through shortly, and we'll pick that up to process it. So I'm now in the approver view. So I am Kevin's supervisor. So he's just requested a leave request. And as you can see on my front page, I have a notification that Kevin's got a leave request requiring approval. I can approve it from here, but I also want to show you the real-time interaction with NetSuite. Everything is driven from the NetSuite configuration. So if I go back to my NetSuite screen, I will see here that I've got in my reminders portlet a leave request requiring approval. Now I can open that up from NetSuite. So here I've got Kevin's request. I can approve it or I can decline it from NetSuite, but at the same time, I can approve it or decline it from MyPay. Now the advantage of this, the supervisor doesn't have to have a NetSuite license. What we're providing here is all of this functionality to non-NetSuite users. So we're going to talk about time allowance or time entry. And this is for staff or employees that don't have access to NetSuite, but they need to be able to enter in time against a customer or a project. So here I am Kevin. I go over to my time allowance part of MyPay, and I want to enter some time. So I just simply go create. What I can do is I can come in here and I can choose a customer. Now this is all driven from NetSuite. So I'm just going to choose this one here. Okay, I can put in a memo. Let's call it test time. I can choose a service item. So if you are going to bill that back to the customer, we can select contracting services in this case. I can also define whether it's going to be overtime or normal time. All right, I've got all access to all of the time types that I need to. I can also decide department class location classifications as well. And that's going to flow all the way back into NetSuite when I enter this time. And then what we'll do is we'll just add some hours. So let's put 8 hours there, 8 hours there. And it's going to ask me if I'm ready to submit it for approval, right? And bear in mind, you can assign it to different customers, different projects, entirely configurable. I'm going to submit that for approval, and then that's going to go to the supervisor, and we'll show you that. So I am Kevin's supervisor. Kevin has used MyPay to enter some time in against a customer or a project. So I've had an alert via email to tell me that there's some time to approve. So I've gone into MyPay, and likewise this could be on the mobile as well, and I can see straight away on my home page that I have some time that's been entered by Kevin that needs approval. So I can come in here, I can approve it, but I just want to demonstrate the NetSuite aspect of it as well. We have some hours pending approval, so it's flowed back through. But I'm going to approve it from MyPay because I don't have access to NetSuite being the supervisor. And what's going to happen now, that's now going to go all the way back to NetSuite in real time. And you will see here it's going to be approved, ready to be picked up for processing, either for payroll or if it's billing purposes against projects, whatever that may be. So that time is now flowed straight back into NetSuite. Okay, so back to Kevin, the employee, just to show that on his time allowance screen within MyPay, when he looks at his time and allowance entries, he can actually see now that his time has been approved. Now we're going to be looking at entering expenses and using MyPay's OCR functionality to process that and flow it back into NetSuite. So I'm the employee, I've got some expenses or receipts I need to process, and we have a number of ways in which you can get those into MyPay. The first and most easiest one is if you've already saved those receipts onto your desktop or laptop somewhere, you just simply come in here, click on select, go to your folder, and I've got a whole lot of demo receipts in here. I'm going to choose my train ticket to Nottingham. The other way I can do it is if I'm out and about and I've got my mobile phone, you can see I'm hovering over email receipt. If you go down into the bottom left hand corner of my screen, just below where it says team calendar, you'll see a mail address. Okay, so what you do is you take a photo of your receipt and you just simply email it, and then that will then flow into this MyPay account under Kevin and then sits within here to be processed. The other way you can do it is you can open up MyPay within your mobile phone and just simply use that to upload the photo directly into MyPay. So I have this receipt I need to create an expense report for. So what I'm going to do is download that. There we go, here's our receipt here. And I'm going to create an expense report. And it's going to pick up some of the detail that we need. So obviously we've got the date, then we can use the expense categories, which is driven out of NetSuite. So for now, that is a train ticket. I'm going to call that domestic travel. I've got a memo freeform I can type here, train to Nottingham. I can then assign it against a project if I want, because you may be capturing expenses against projects or customers. And then obviously we've got the taxable amounts, and then we decide whether it's billable or reimbursable. So billable, you're billing it back to the customer. If I don't tick that, it won't get billed. Or reimbursable, so it's come out of my pocket and I'd like to have that paid back to me. So if I tick that, then all of those are going to occur. Now if I save that, it's going to appear over here on the right. It's going to give it an expense report name, okay, and it's ready to submit. As Kevin, I'm going to submit that for approval. You can see here it's pending, waiting for approval. So I'm a supervisor. I've had an email notification to tell me that there is an expense to be approved. I log into MyPay. I can see on my home page here that Kevin's got a expense that I need to approve. We can open that up and have a look at that expense. And I can see, yep, that's correct. And I can see what he's written there. And it's for a customer and it's billable and reimbursable. Now I can approve it from here, or I can reject it and add a comment to it if I wish. It might be that they've put the wrong details in there. I can change it for them if I need to. But before I approve it in MyPay, I want to jump back into NetSuite to show you where the configuration is driven from. First of all, let's look at Kevin, who's submitted the expense. You'll see down here in the HR tab, he has a 0 expense limit. So anytime Kevin puts an expense through, it must be approved. And you define that as you wish. I'm obviously the expense approver for Kevin, and I also have a limit of up to £500. So anything over that will require other people to approve that. Then we have these expense categories, and this is what is just flowing through in real time into NetSuite. And you can see here, those are the categories. If you add a new one, it will just appear in NetSuite. Right, so I'm back into my MyPay application and I want to approve the expense on behalf of Kevin. So I just simply go approve. Okay, that's going to flow back into NetSuite itself, into my expense reports. And then once it's gone in through further processing, I could open that up. And then the last step is that it needs to be paid. So if it's reimbursable, as soon as I click make payment, then that payment will be processed at the appropriate time for the employee to be reimbursed. If I just jump back into Kevin, who submitted the expense in the first place, that will show up here. So there you can see it's been approved. So Kevin can keep a track of his own expenses and know exactly where they are without having to hassle his supervisor about that. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. If you'd like to learn more, visit zoneandco.com.